Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We are in week 3 of our June series, the One Debrief. And June is actually Juning today. I mean, it has been gross in New York, 60s and raining and just blah. At least today it is actually feeling like summertime and I am so ready. So, June, if you've been following for June or if you have not, let me just give you the little debrief. We have been talking about what it is like to reflect because, June is a time of year where the end of the fiscal year is coming. People are ending a year of med school, a year of residency, maybe another year of your attending contract. So this is why it's a perfect time to just do this quick debrief around what contracts even look like and what you should be thinking about, right? What are you reflecting on? So hopefully for you, this has been a really nice space to reflect, to talk about what life looks like after training. If you're listening each week, thank you. Hearts. I love and hope that this feels like a space where we can just sit down, take a deep breath, be honest with each other. I mean, I'm always honest, sometimes to a fault. I think if you know me in real life or if you've just been listening long enough, I'm always going to say what it is. I'm a straight shooter. I'm a New Yorker. We don't really do fluff around here. So today's episode is a mix of lessons learned, lessons I don't want you to learn the hard way. We're talking about things I wish I asked for, I didn't know to ask for, or things I learned to ask for since signing repeated contracts. And if you are in the middle of a contract, I also want to make sure you understand you don't have to wait until the next job, the next cycle, the next year, the next version of you to start asking for these things. So many of the things we don't ask for is because we've convinced ourselves that we need to earn ease or we need to earn our dues. And that's not actually true. Rules are so arbitrary. I know. Mind blown. So, okay, let's get into the actual topic. I remember my first attending contract. It felt like a win just to have a contract. I had left fellowship several months before. I took some time off because I was super burnt out and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, if I even wanted to be in medicine at all. And so, poverty, student loans, Sally Maisha and Moholia, her sister, they'll come for you if you're not paying them back, right? So obviously in training, you're maybe paying a portion of student loans, but bills were coming due. And honey, I didn't have no money. So I just needed something. And so I didn't really have the capacity to question things. And I asked for things out of must have, cannot work in any other condition just because my burnout was so bad. So I said no nights, no weekends, no 24-hour calls. The contract that I was looking at didn't have that. They have weekends, but I wasn't doing those, right? They were things that I needed to have just because I felt so burnt out. And beyond that, I didn't really ask for anything. I just wanted to get started. I wanted to get paid. I wanted to have a moment to breathe, to take the pressure of owing off my back, off my shoulders. But looking back, there was so much I didn't even know to ask for. I wasn't even thinking about. And so a couple of things just off the top of my head that I always like to tell people to look out for is is charting administrative time built into your schedule? Do you need that? Is that going to be beneficial for you? What's the call schedule? What's the regular schedule? You need crystal clear expectations on how a schedule works beyond just you work Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 5 to 9, whatever, 12-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts, but also how often is call? What happens if someone leaves? What happens if someone's on maternity leave or FMLA or something? How does the call schedule shift? It gets very nuanced, very detailed, very fast. Bonus structures, productivity structure. They love to put those numbers on a contract. $10,000, $15,000. We're going to give you money. And the math be mathin'. Y'all know when a contract comes through, everyone does the same thing. We pull out our calculator and we're like, boop, 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 boop. Let me see how much that's going to work out to in a paycheck. Okay? Because if it doesn't say dollars, it doesn't make sense. So, understanding actually what it means to achieve those things, because sometimes it looks good, but it's just not achievable. And you also don't want to have to work really, 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 really hard just to earn an extra 10K. Crazy. I didn't ask those questions before the contract because I didn't even know I could. I had never had a single contract conversation in training. I don't think we had a lecture, a grand round, nothing. No one ever talked about contracts at all. I even think about how messed up it is that even as early as college, we were signing contracts. Me as a first generation going away to college student, filling out my FAFSA, basically arranging my own financial aid to make this feasible, signing promissory notes, signing up for student loans. I signed so many contracts. I don't think I read a single one of those from cover to cover. And even if I did, I'm not sure I would have understood what they said. Kind of reckless. This country is reckless that way. You got these little 18-year-olds, 22-year-olds signing away their lives, their debt. It's ridiculous. And then doesn't get better in training, right? Residency contracts, fellowship contracts, no one explains anything to you. No one sits down and says, do you understand this thing that you're signing? You're just like, it's a thing I have to do to get my job. So you sign it. I mean, it just is, right? So definitely no one taught me things like treating an offer as a conversation, trying to figure out what I needed from a job just as much as what they needed and could we match. None of that was happening. And because it's not talked about, especially in my earlier jobs and earlier contracts, it felt like I was doing something risky, something audacious, but not audacious in the good kind of audacity, like the kind that's like audacity is on sale and everybody who doesn't deserve it is buying it. I thought I would be greedy or ungrateful if I asked. Or worse, they would just replace me. I felt so replaceable. I hadn't done any of the work to understand, my value in a place, what I was bringing in terms of experience. And because I was surrounded by people who had similar experience, similar work histories, I didn't feel remarkable in any particular way. And I didn't want to mess up a good thing. So that's kind of the trap. It's thinking that you can mess something up, that you are replaceable, like they didn't do a search and found you, or that because this contract seems better than residency, we don't really need to ask for more or we don't deserve to ask for more. But better than residency is not the bar. Let me repeat that. Just because your contract or your salary is better than residency, that is not the bar. In a previous episode recently, I talked about how easy it is to take habits from residency. Actually, I think it's the first episode of June. How easy it is to take habits from residency and carry them forward in perpetuity, and how we have to guard ourselves against that impetus to always want to just maintain the same habits. So when I listen to doctors, I know that there's a moment they realize, no, I should have asked for something else. Oh, I didn't realize. I see what other people are getting, or I want something different. There's a lot of these questions or doubts that pop up in people's brains. And the way they ease that doubt, that discomfort, is they say things to themselves like, oh, I'll do it better next time. I'll definitely ask. I'm going to try to learn a little something, or I have a few questions that I could ask for my next job. But my favorite thing to say around here is you don't need to wait for that next job. You don't need to wait till you feel confident to ask. You can start now where you are in this moment. I know sometimes that feels like such a disconnect. Like how? Who am I even talking to? You can answer all those questions. You just have to decide you're moving forward. Because listen, you figured out medical school. You could definitely figure this out. And also you have people like me in the community who are here teaching people how to do this. It is very much possible. Sure, there are some things that it would be easier to discuss, if you had a coach or if you had a framework. But the point is you can do it. You have to actually just make the decision that yeah, you know what? The contract I'm in needs renegotiating. The position I'm in needs renegotiating. oh, they're offering me something new and I need to renegotiate my contract. Because, they'll offer you something new. They'll add a bunch of new tasks and they ain't adding no money, not a single red cent, not a dime, not a dollar. They're trifling like that. And I say they as in HR, administrators, and as a current administrator, I wouldn't dare. Like the audacity of me to not live by my own practices. But, everybody's different. We gonna listen and we judge, okay? So I have several clients who have either exited mid-contract or looked at, hey, and when I say exit mid-contract, we do a process first. We look at the job and see if there's something missing that they can provide that we just haven't asked for. If we find that, they can't provide the thing we're asking for, yes, we exit. But I also have clients who make that evaluation and they realize, well, you know what? They just never asked. And so if they do ask and they're able to get something more, then they're willing to stay, right? I have a client who was a couple of years into her role, first role after training, but, several years in, the job she had was okay. I mean, the team was fine, right? But there was a huge disconnect between what she needed and what they were like in terms of support, in terms of MAs. She didn't feel like a leader in the space. The MAs were working under, the nursing department or whatever. The nurses were working under somebody else. Basically, she didn't feel like she was the boss of anybody. And so, whenever there was clinic drama, everyone reported off to the office manager, but she didn't feel like a leader of her space. She didn't feel like she had control over some of the smaller things. And a lot of those small tasks add up in your day, which subtracts from the time you have to write notes or handle patient messaging. There's parts of your job that only you can do. There's like seeing patients, responding to certain messages, not all, and prescribing, right? And anything that actually takes away from the parts of your job that only you can do should really be done by someone else. And especially if you're someone who maybe, takes a longer time on their charts and you find yourself charting at home and you are taking other forms of work home with you. Think about in your day, are there tasks that you're currently doing that someone else should do? That's something worth negotiating in your contract, something you should ask for. How do you reduce your workload so you can continue to do the parts of the job that are revenue creating for the clinic, but also reducing your administrative workload so that you do not burn out and can continue to be a revenue generating person? And if you also position your ask in the frame of like, hey, this is how I'm going to earn you guys even more money, who's mad at that? They make more money. You make more money. Everybody's making money. We're all good. Okay. So this client, we did the evaluation and she has 2 small kids. She was taking charts home, which means that she was not able to spend the time with her kids. And one of her kids, has additional needs, right? So she really needed time to do things for her children, but she also needed time to do things for herself, for her husband. It just wasn't how she envisioned spending her time outside of work, was charting. However she chooses to spend that time should not be an extension of work, extension of you carrying home more workload. So she realized that, okay, she needed to shift how she related to her MAs or how she trained her MAs, even though they didn't work for her, so that they could pick up some slack so that she could focus more on charting. She needed to cut people off in the daytime from coming into her office and chit-chatting and also trying to get free medical evaluations. Y'all know who that is. Y'all know how it is. People always want free medical advice, like your time is invaluable. And of course, sometimes it feels easy just to give an answer, but think about how much you're losing. You're losing every day that you're spending with someone. Meanwhile, then you have to go and take work home and your kids don't get that time that you've now devoted to the staff in your office for free. Nah, dog. Yeah, we can't be doing that. So she was at work. Sometimes the MAs were rotating. She didn't even have the same MA all the time. And then the one that was a little bit more consistent wasn't really answering her patient messages. And also she wanted to work less days a week. She wanted to stop charting at home. She wanted to have more free time, like all of that, right? There were new people coming into the environment. There was a lot of people leaving. They weren't even able to replace the people that were leaving. So imagine how valuable she's supposed to be for this place, right? If she's staying and other people have left and now they're becoming more and more understaffed, they need to listen. If they want to retain, they need to take into consideration her needs. So instead of just jumping off and quitting, I help people quit all the time. I help people transition to new jobs. I help people to transition to locums. It's whatever's right for you. There's no one size fit all solution to whatever you're going through. In this case, the immediate solution for her was, how do we figure out a better way to operate in your workspace? And it came back to some of those questions I asked at the beginning of the episode, which is like, what do you actually need to know about your job? What are the requirements? Can you uphold those requirements? Do those things work for you? Do those conditions, parameters work for you? What's in your contract? We were able to switch her to part-time. We're not on like an annual anniversary where we're revamping. The contract wasn't over. She still was able to switch to part-time. We were still able to utilize her team differently. She was able to relate to patients differently just because her workload was lighter. Major improvement. You can renegotiate your schedule even in the middle of the year, even in the middle of a contract. You can decrease your clinical workload. So same job, different boundaries, you rolling up with a whole different energy, you get different results. You don't always have to leave, but you do have to accept that asking is allowed and that you can do it. I think one of the hardest things that we go through is this belief that I need to prove myself first. And so I want to gently challenge that today, because what you really need is actually belief in yourself, and also belief that your job has to be sustainable enough for you to keep showing up. Even if you don't feel the most confident, you have to realize that this job is not sustainable and that you need it to become sustainable for you to actually continue to work there. So for your patients, for your people, for yourself, for your family, whatever you're doing this for, the best outcome is one that creates a sustainable opportunity. Ease is not selfish. It is not a luxury. It's a requirement if you want to build a sustainable life in a career that lasts. And if you're not allowed to ask for that, or if you're not allowing yourself to ask for that, I should say, then you won't ever get it. It will become unsustainable. You will then consider how to quit, right? How to move away from a place, or how to move out of medicine altogether. So again, you are allowed to ask for that now. It has nothing to do with when your contract expires. Even though we're doing this in June as a June series, not dependent on your contract expiring. You can ask for these things now, not later. And when you feel not when you feel more ready, not when you've suffered enough to earn it, now. Okay. So that's what I have for you today. Next week, I'm sharing something special. It's the replay of my negotiation masterclass. So if you've been wondering what to say, why negotiation is the tool, right? What is the tool that you need? I even answer some of the audience questions about their situation so you can see some examples. It's going to be a good episode, and that'll be our last episode before I take a summer break. Normally, I take just August off. But this year, I'm giving myself a old school summer break, like July and August break, like the one you got when you were in elementary school or even college if you didn't take summer school, which I did, but I haven't probably had this kind of summer break since high school, like a real summer vacation, and not just so I can travel. Because if you've been here a while, that's something I'm working on, is taking breaks even when I'm not traveling. So I will be back in September with some fresh episodes and always, some straight talk. In the meantime, if you love this series, please send it to a friend, leave a review, and I'd love to hear from you on what's resonating. Thanks for being here with me. I hope you tap in next week, and I hope that you actually spend some time this summer renegotiating all of the things. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is link us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.